So, kicking off where we left off last time, sorry for my 15-minute limit, but I'll get back to the Russian military equipment later, and I would like to debunk a few more things about Russiakills. Now, here is a situation, February 10th, 2016, Novomikhailovka, basically February 10th, 2016, militants mined land near the road on which people were going to the free Ukrainian territory through the Novomikhailovka checkpoint. As a result of bus explosion which was riding to Kurakhova, 4 people were killed. There is not an image or a video or any evidence at all presented for this situation. I did not even hear about this in Ukrainian media, let alone separatist media. So, just to show you guys, according to this, people wanted to go from the separatist territory to government-controlled territory, and Novomikhailovka is located right here. This is Novomikhailovka. It's government-controlled territory, so how could they landmine a checkpoint if that checkpoint would have been defended by Ukrainian soldiers? Or does this mean they mined their own checkpoint? That doesn't make sense either, because that's risking their own casualties. As you can see, the nearest separatist control is Olenovka, which has been taken during February 2015, and Oleksandrovka. And there are no roads leading up to Novomikhailovka. They'd have to go around through Donetsk city, through Oleksandrovka, through Marinka, go completely around, and then go on this rough terrain. This symbolizes basically a road, but like a path, like a forest road, to Novomikhailovka. So, I'm refuting this because there's no evidence, and plus there's nothing connecting these two. They literally have to go through a horde of forest. I'm sure they, both sides place mines in forests, but there's usually signs that says, warning mines. So, but a bus would definitely not drive down from here or here into here. The second thing that I want to talk about is the participation of children in hostilities. OSCE observers recorded that DNR, which is DPR in Russian, checkpoints 14-year-old kids with guns in their hands. Rebel leader Alexander Zakharchenko confirms this. He told reporters that in the Oplot unit, which he commanded personally, they have the men at the age of 14, which already have a reward for participation in hostilities. Let's talk about that. First of all, they only present a picture with a child in a separatist uniform. Okay, fine, great evidence. If they claim that this was by the OSCE, then they could have easily linked the OSCE report, How did they know that the child was 14? Did they just assume by the looks, or did they interview the child? And if there's an interview with the child, then I'm sure they could have linked it in the evidence. Now, I'll tell you why they did not link any videos to the evidence. All of the child soldiers, warriors that I found of Donetsk, they volunteered. They either had a choice to be in bomb shelters or to defend their homes. And historically, through the Hitler Youth, they were forced to defend their homes. But during World War II, during the Great Patriotic War, children, 14-year-old children, they fought alongside their parents with a rifle to defend their land. Here is an 18-year-old soldier. He already has a cross for his duties in Ilovaisk, and he is actually complaining here. He's complaining not that they took him or anything. He's complaining that they didn't allow him to serve 2 times. It took him on his 3rd try until he was finally accepted. I know there's no subtitles for the videos that I'm about to present, so you're kind of going to have to take my word for it, but I will actually compile and translate these videos. So on the 3rd time, they finally accepted him. They did not want to accept him because of his age, because he's 18, but eventually they finally did accept him. And 18 is an okay age to serve already. That's actually the serving in the US we can serve from since 17. So yeah, but let's move on. This child is 15 years old. He's saying about how his very similar stories between most of the kids. That his house was being bombed, his village was being bombed. So back in 2014, battalions, they kind of had different laws. They operated differently, basically. Now, in 2016, the DPR considers itself an army. And because they consider themselves an army, Alexander Zakharchenko has more of commander-in-chief type power over them, and there's more unity between the battalions, so there's more similar laws. But back then, each battalion operated independently, so to speak. This 15-year-old, he voluntarily joined Vostok Battalion, which means East Battalion. He's not complaining or anything. He actually gave this interview to say how he is a patriot, how he is defending his land. These two other ones he claims are his classmates. They came here voluntarily, and this 15-year-old, he's not being sent to the front lines or anything. He's actually explaining right now that he gives lessons to other newcomers, to other newbies. So at 15 years old, he's already building a career, a survivalist career, training people and being as an instructor. So that could certainly lead him as a job in the future to being, a teacher or, something, or even a military career if he so desires. But the point, what I'm saying, is that they weren't drafted. They weren't conscripted into the separatism. They're not forced to fight. Now, here is even more interesting. These two 14-year-old kids say that their entire home village, again, a similar story, that their entire home village was destroyed. They want to join the separatism, but they're not allowed because of their young age. They're both 14-year-olds, so what the separatists did to build discipline on them, as they explain, they put them in a safe area where nobody will come, nobody will shoot them, and they're basically protecting the area from looters, from marauders, and the separatists are always on standby. They said, the kids say in this interview, that the separatists are just a phone call away, and within minutes, just a couple of minutes, they will come reinforce the area if these kids consider any problems. But yeah, they are left alone, but again, it's these kids' choices, and it's teaching them about guards duty. These two kids are also saying how they see action, how they would have been probably dead if they had stayed in their homes, so they were placed here by the separatists, whichever battalion they came across. So they're actually put in a more safer place, and the action that they see, that they claim that there were snipers out there still trying to shoot them, but they were saved to the separatists, and they claim that they heard Polish dialect, so they assume that they are Polish mercenaries. They could be just Polish volunteers, but according to these two kids, the Poles, they come and they go, and they assume that they go because their paychecks ended, so that's why they leave, that they're not offered any more payment. But again, they are not forced to join the separatists. They were relocated by the separatists by their will because they asked to be relocated into a safer place, and they want to help they claim to be patriots as well. They want to help any way they can. Now, what spawns such patriotism to these kids? Is it to defend their land? Partially, yes. But also, why don't they see Ukraine as their land? And the separatism as being terrorists? Well, one, they grew up around their local areas, so they know a lot of people that are older separatist men, and also because of this speech by Poroshenko.
У нас пенсії будуть, у них немає. У нас піклування під людей, під пенсіонерів, під дітей буде, у них немає. У нас діти підуть до школи, до дитячих садків, у них вони будуть сидіти в підвалах. Бо вони нічого не вміють робити. І саме так ми виграємо цю війну. В підвалах.
So our kids will be going to school and their kids will be sitting in bomb shelters. You know, if I was a 14-year-old kid back in Ukraine, I would not feel comforted hearing that. And to this day, 2016, despite the Minsk II ceasefires, a lot of seniors and kids still do live in bomb shelters, and I will show you that after I show you this. Vice News actually did a report about child warriors of Donetsk, but it's just a military academy. Either the parents send these kids to join it, or the kids decide themselves to join. But giving understanding that it's wartime, it is possible that the kids are more fueled to join these type of things. Now, as much as I despise Vice News because they claim to be an independent news organization, but they are sponsored by somebody. Who they are sponsored by, I do not yet know, but their biasism is clear. It is clear that they are a biased news agency, that they are one-sided. They go to both areas, but they support one side, and that's clearly evident in their Russian roulette series. Now, child soldiers are not limited to just the separatist forces. What Russiakills did not mention is that Azov Battalion in Mariupol. Now, Mariupol is actually in Donetsk. That's the Azov nationalist-controlled, National Guard-controlled city, Mariupol, off the coast of the Azov Sea. And Ukrainian media always says how there will be an offensive going on to Mariupol. At this time in 2016, I see that highly unlikely, considering that February 28th, 2016, Azov Battalion, Chechnyan Volunteers, Right Sector, Aidar Battalion, and the National Guard of Ukraine actually took over Shirokino and Kominternovo. So they gained these two that are orange here. They claim that it's disputed, but this map is from January. This map is on Wikipedia, and it's been last updated in mid-January 2016. And this situation, their full victory, came on February 28th, 2016, where they took over Shirokino and Kominternovo, the two villages there. They're training kids, Azov Battalion, Azov Civil Corps, I should say. They're training their own child soldiers. Take a look.
Scaling tree trunks, crawling through trenches, even dismantling machine guns. It's all part of a day's training for these children.
Now, what I want to stop one thing here. Notice the German flag on his uniform. Clearly, the uniform was given by Azov Battalion, but just what kind of nationalist ideas do they teach them that requires a German flag to defend Ukraine?
For these children. The camp in Ukraine's Sumy region are getting lessons in military tactics and nationalist ideology. 9-year-old Kirilo has already learned to navigate the obstacle course and assemble a weapon, all with the goal of defending his country. The camp is run by members of the Azov Regiment, formerly a right-wing volunteer battalion.
I wouldn't say formally.
It's now part of Ukraine's National Guard.
That is true. Since January 2016, Azov Battalion, Right Sector Battalion, Aidar Battalion, a lot of volunteer battalions, while Poroshenko made a promise to disarm voluntary battalions, he instead absorbed them into the National Guard to prevent their disarmament.
A servicemen who have returned from fighting Russian-backed separatists in the Donbass region. At the camp, parents think the fighters are well suited to teach their kids to both love and defend Ukraine.
Этот лагерь — это для меня возможность того, чтобы мой ребенок научился быть самостоятельным, возможность того, чтобы я безбоязненно своего ребенка отправляла в школу, в магазин и секции, которые он присутствует.
The fear is because, one, you have to blend in, you have to show your nationalist pride. Ladies and gentlemen, I again did not realize about my 15-minute limit, and I will have part 3 uploaded shortly.